Hello everyone, I am Swati and this is video lesson number 2 on the chapter probability. In the previous video, we learned about what is probability and terms related to probability. In this video, we are going to discuss about problems based on probability. So let's start. Student, our first question is, a dice is thrown 200 times and the outcomes as shown below. Student, when we throw a dice, we know that the outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When a dice is thrown 200 times and the outcomes as shown below, it means 1 occurs 21 times, 2 occurs 30 times, 3 occurs 42 times, 4 occurs 38 times, 5 occurs 29 times, 6 occurs 40 times. Now, when a dice is thrown at random, find the probability of getting a first 5, 4 and 3. What we have to do? We have to find the probability of getting 5, probability of getting 4 and the probability of getting 3. Student, what formula we use for finding the probability? Yes. So, what is given here first? A dice is thrown 200 times. It means here total number of trials is equal to 200. What we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting 5. First, what we have to find out? P, probability of getting 5 is equal to, what formula we use for find the probability? Yes, number of favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes. Here we find out the probability of getting 5 and how many times 5 occurs? 29 times. So, number of favorable outcome by total number of outcomes. Here 5 occurs 29 times and the total number of outcomes is 200. So, probability of getting 5 is equal to 29 by 200. Okay. Now, the second is find the probability of getting 4. So, P of getting 4. Here how many times 4 occurs? 38 times. So, 38 and the total number of trials is 200. 38 by 200. Both are even numbers, so we cancel out and it becomes 19 by 100. Okay. And the third question is, third sub question, find the probability of getting 3. So, P of getting 3. Here P means probability of getting 3. How many times 3 occurs? 42 times. So, 42 by 200 and it becomes 21 by 100. Okay. So, what we do first? First we read the question and write down what is given. Here it is given that the total number of trials is equal to 200. Now, what we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting 5, 4 and 3. Here we see that 5 occurs 29 times. So, probability of getting 5 is equal to number of favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes. Favorable outcomes, it means how many times 5 occurs. 29 times 5 occurs by 200. Okay. In this way we solve this question. So, we move to our next question. The next question is, 2 coins are tossed together. Find the probability of getting at least one head. 2 coins are tossed together. Find the probability of getting at least one head and no head. Student, when we toss 2 coins simultaneously, what are the outcomes? What are the outcomes we get? It means sample space. When we toss 2 coins together, we get head, 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 tail, head and tail. These are the outcomes: head, tail, head and tail. So here total number of outcomes is equal to 4. Now what we have to find out? We have to first find out probability of getting at least one head. Probability of getting at least one head. It means the outcomes are at least one head. So head. In this, 2 heads are present. Head, tail, 1 head is present. Tail, head, 1 head is present. And in tail, no head is present. So we don't consider this. So the number of favorable outcomes is equal to 1, 2, 3. Now what we have to find out? We have to find out P, probability of getting at least one head. Okay. So number of favorable outcomes, it means 3, by total number of outcomes is 4. So what we find out first? Probability of getting at least one head. First we find out what are the outcomes we get when we toss 2 coins simultaneously: head, tail, head and tail. So the total number of outcomes becomes 4. Now probability of getting at least one head. At least one head, it means head, tail and tail head. So number of favorable outcomes becomes 3. So P of getting, probability of getting at least one head, number of favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes. Now the second is, what we have to find out? No head. No head, it means tail. Only the outcomes tail. So number of favorable outcomes become 1. And what we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting no head. And we know that formula for probability is number of favorable outcome by total number of outcomes. Here number of favorable outcome is 1 and the total number of outcomes is 4. It is 1 by 4. Okay. When 2 coins are tossed together, find the probability of getting at least one head and no head. So at least one head, then we consider the outcomes head, tail and tail head. And no head, at that time we consider tail. Okay. So we move to our third question. The third question is, when a dice is thrown, find the probability of getting a prime number, a number multiple of 3. When a dice is thrown, find the probability of getting a prime number and a number multiple of 3. Student, when we throw a dice, what are the sample space? Means what are the outcomes of throwing a dice? Outcomes are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. When we throw a dice, we get the outcomes as 1, 2, 3, 4 and 4, 5 and 6. So total number of outcomes is equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the first is probability of getting a prime number. Okay. Probability of getting a prime number. It means our favorable outcomes. Student, favorable outcomes, it means the demand of the question. Here the demand of the question is prime numbers. So favorable outcomes becomes, what are the prime numbers in 1 to 6? Yes, 2, 3 and 5. 2, 3 and 5. So number of favorable outcomes is equal to 3. Now we find out P, that is probability of getting a prime number. That is number of favorable outcomes. Number of favorable outcomes, it means 3 by total number of outcomes, that is 6. 3 by 6, it becomes 1 by 2. So when a dice is thrown, the probability of getting a prime number becomes 1 by 2. The second is a number multiple of 3. A number multiple of 3. In the outcomes 1 to 6, what are the numbers which are multiple of 3? Yes, only 3 and 6 are the multiples of 6. So, our favorable outcomes becomes 3 and 6. So, number of favorable outcomes here, one, 2. Now what we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting a number which is multiple of 3. That number of favorable outcomes, it means 2 by total number of outcomes, that is 6. So 2 by 6, it becomes 1 by 3. The student, what we did here? When a dice is thrown, find the probability of getting a prime number, a number multiple of 3. So first we find out, when we throw a dice, what we get as a result, what we get as a outcomes. We get the outcomes as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. The total number of outcomes becomes 6. Now probability of getting a prime number. What are the prime numbers here? 2, 3 and 5. So our favorable outcomes becomes 2, 3 and 5. Number of favorable outcomes 1, 2, 3. It becomes 3. So probability of getting a prime number, number of favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes, it becomes 1 by 2. Similarly, we solve the second one. Okay. So we move to our last question. The last question is, a bag contains 4 red balls, 5 green balls, 3 yellow balls. Find the probability of getting a ball is a red ball, not a red ball. Student, what is given here? It is given here that this bag contains 4 red balls, 5 green balls, 3 yellow balls. What we have to find out? We have to find out the probability of getting a red ball and the probability of getting not a red ball. So what we find out first? First we find out the total number of balls. Student, what is the total number of ball here? 4 plus 5 plus 3. And we get the total number of balls is equal to 12. Now what we have to find out first? Probability of getting a red ball. Okay. So number of red balls here. Number of red balls is equal to 4. So P, probability of getting a red ball, is equal to number of favorable outcomes. It means 4 by total number of outcomes, that is 12. 4 by 12, it becomes 1 by 3. Okay. Now the second is not a red ball. What we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting a ball which is not a red ball. So, student, what is the number of ball which are not red? That is 5 plus 3. Number of balls which are not red, that is 5 plus 3, that is 8. Now what we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting not a red ball. Okay? So number of favorable outcomes, it becomes 8 by total number of outcomes, that is total number of balls, 12. 8 by 12, we get 2 by 3. Student, what we see here, getting a red ball is 1 by 3 and not getting a red ball is 2 by 3. When we add 1 by 3 plus 2 by 3, what we get? We take the LCM 3, 1 plus 2, that is 3 by 3, that is equal to 1. So what we see here, this is probability of getting a red ball and this is probability of getting not a red ball. The sum of the probability is equal to 1. P, probability of getting an event plus probability of not getting that event is equal to always 1. Probability of getting an event plus probability of not getting that event is equal to 1. What we did in this question, first we find out the total number of balls, then number of red balls is equal to 4. What we have to find out? We have to find out probability of getting a red ball. So number of red balls by total number of balls, we get 1 by 3. Now probability of getting not a red ball. So number of balls which are not red, that is 8. That is green color balls and yellow balls. So probability of getting not a red ball, favorable outcomes by total number of outcomes, and we get 2 by 3. The student, we see here that probability of getting an event plus probability of not getting that event is equal to 1. Student, in this way we can solve any question related to probability. So that's all for today. Keep practicing. Complete your assignment. Take care. Have a nice day. Good day.